Tonight, going head-to-head, the four main party leaders in Scotland take part in the first TV debate of the campaign, here on STV.
This is a big moment in the campaign. This is politics in the raw. The leaders will cross-examine each other here on STV. Expect no punches to be pulled.
With just over 4 weeks until the polls, are you prepared? We run through your ballot box checklist to ensure your vote goes without a hitch.
The new look for Glasgow's George Square. The plans are finalised and work will take 3 years.
I'm Kellyanne Woodland in Edinburgh.
And I'm John Mackay in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6.
Good evening. The first big event of the general election campaign is just hours away. The four main Scottish party leaders will go head-to-head in a debate here on STV.
The SNP, Labour, Conservatives and Liberal Democrats all say they're looking forward to putting their policies forward and the opportunity to question each other. Our senior reporter, Gordon Cree, has been to see the contenders warming up.
The final touches are being made to the studio for an important set piece of the campaign. Tonight, Scotland's political leaders will be on the spot, being challenged on what they have to offer. But first, there was another day of milking the chance of a photo opportunity. John Swinney visited Graham's Dairy in Bridge of Allen. Just weeks ago, he'd never have expected to be leading the SNP into a general election, but he told me he's relishing tonight.
I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy the political discourse that we have, and I'm looking forward to setting out the SNP's message, which is that decisions are made in Scotland for Scotland, and that people can rely on SNP MPs to put the interests of Scotland first in the House of Commons.
The Conservative leader this morning visited the first bus depot in Glasgow, where he took the wheel of an electric double-decker. He insists focusing on what he sees as key issues will have his party on the right road.
That's improving our NHS, it's about raising educational standards, it's about growing our economy and creating good jobs. So in key seats up and down the country, if people unite behind the Scottish Conservative candidate, we can beat the SNP, end their obsession with independence and get the focus onto these issues that really matter to people.
For Labour, the theme was the cost of living, the venue, the Govan Pantry, which provides affordable food. And their leader hopes viewers tonight will put a change of government on the menu.
After 14 years of this rotten Tory government, we have a chance to get rid of them, and it's an opportunity Scotland can't afford to miss. And that's why, for all the attacks from the opposition, we are focused on what this election is about: getting rid of the Tories, maximising Scotland's influence and delivering the change our country needs.
The Liberal Democrats were leafleting in Dunfermline today, while the party leader was getting ready for the debate.
I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm proud of the platform the Liberal Democrats are standing on in this election for fast access to a GP at the first time of asking, NHS dentistry in your locality, lifting up Scottish schools to where they used to be in the international rankings, taking the sewage out of our rivers. That's what I'll be talking about tonight.
Election campaigns are all about politicians getting their message to voters' doorsteps, but today also involves taking their message to a far bigger audience. Gordon Cree, STV News, Dunfermline.
The STV Leaders Debate will be hosted by our political editor, Colin Mackay. He's in the debate studio now. So, Colin, what are you expecting?
I'm hoping for fireworks. I'm always looking for that in a leaders' debate, though. Last year we really got them in the SNP leaders' debate, which shows you just how much of an impact these debates can actually have. Now, in the studio here, we'll have Anas Sarwar from Scottish Labour, John Swinney from the SNP, Douglas Ross from the Scottish Conservatives, and Alex Cole-Hamilton from the Scottish Liberal Democrats. I'll be here in the middle. I might be left holding the jackets because the leaders will have spent the weekend preparing their attack lines and their defence lines for the crucial cross-examination section. That's what really makes STV debates stand out from the others. It's a chance to see them up against each other, and there's been no shortage of animosity in the election already.
And Colin, what sort of issues will be coming up?
Well, that's largely up to the political leaders, but it's hard to see how they could ignore the cost of living crisis. That's the biggest issue for voters in all the opinion polls so far. I may have to remind them from time to time, though, that this is actually a Westminster election, not really about devolved issues, because they will stray. But whatever they want to ask each other about, that's really up to them. They'll be searching for weaknesses in their opponents and picking away at them. And this is probably their best opportunity. They need to grab people's attention earlier than ever in this election campaign, because in just a couple of weeks, many voters will be more focused on the Euros than the election. But tonight, all the action will be here at on STV at 9.
Hope it goes well, Colin. Thank you.
Well, Colin mentioned opinion polls there, and what are they saying? Well, in the past hour, the polling company YouGov has published analysis suggesting the Conservatives could be on course for their worst defeat in over a century. Our Westminster correspondent Paris Gertsayanis joins us now. And Paris, what exactly does it tell us?
Well, Kellyanne, this isn't any old poll from YouGov. It's a complex statistical analysis that uses huge amounts of data about voters across the country and where they live, and estimates the result in every single constituency. Now, it isn't foolproof, but it has a pretty good track record from the 2017 and 2019 general elections. So, across Scotland, YouGov predicts that Labour could emerge as the biggest party, finishing on 34 MPs, while the SNP tumbled to just 17. The Tories would hold 5 seats, while the Lib Dems would win just 1. Taking a look at some battlegrounds, and the SNP are set to win West Aberdeenshire and Kincardine from the Tories, but elsewhere the Conservatives hang on in the northeast and across the south of Scotland. In Aberdeen South, the SNP's Westminster leader, Stephen Flynn, would hold on to his seat, but across the central belt, it looks like Labour would regain its former Scottish heartlands. Take a look at Glasgow West. It had the biggest SNP majority in Glasgow in 2019. It would fall to Labour too. Across the UK, YouGov estimates Labour could win 422 seats, while the Tories crashed to just 140. The Lib Dems would quadruple their tally to 48. So, a huge boost for Labour, who could end up with a historic majority of 194. But all this was calculated before today's news that Nigel Farage is back as the leader of the right-wing Reform Party, looking to squeeze that Tory vote even more. Not much good news for Rishi Sunak today.
All right, Paris, from Westminster, thank you very much.
Now, with just over 4 weeks to go until voters head to the polls in the general election, thousands of staff are gearing up to count votes and run polling stations. But this time, there will be some key changes, like needing a photographic ID to vote.
It's the first time it's been needed in Scotland at the ballot box, and with people heading off on school holidays and to the Euros, postal votes are expected to be popular. Well, our political reporter Laura Alderman runs us through an election checklist with some important dates.
With just weeks to go until voters head to the polls to pick the next government, the method remains the same. But what you need to bring on the day has changed.
There's some changes when you go to vote. Do you know what they are?
Not at all. Oh my God.
What's new?
I don't know. This is too stressful.
Do you know what you need to do differently when you go to the polls this time?
Yes, make sure you show your ID and when you go to vote.
That's 10 out of 10.
In Spain we have national IDs, so you need to bring your national ID with you. So I'm not surprised. I was surprised that in the UK it wasn't mandatory up until now, so for me it's kind of normal.
If you do want to vote in the general election on the 4th of July, there are some key dates to take note of. First of all, you'll need to register to vote by midnight on the 18th of June. And of course, this election is right smack bang in the middle of the school holidays, so some people might not be here or be able to vote in person. So you can apply for a postal vote, and you'll need to do that by the 19th of June. But a big change this time around compared to other elections in Scotland is you will now need some form of photographic ID to vote at a polling station. So a passport, driver's licence, blue badge, or if you're over the age of 60, you can use your free bus pass too. But if you don't have any form of photo ID, then you'll need to apply for a free voter ID document, known as a Voter Authority Certificate, and you'll need to do that by the 26th of June. Now that is the same date you have to apply apply for a proxy vote, and that will allow someone else to vote on your behalf.
The Electoral Commission is trying to ensure that everyone is aware of the date, aware of the deadline for registration and postal vote applications. We are running a public awareness campaign, so on social media. Come Thursday the 4th of July, polls open at 7 a.m, you'll be able to get your vote.
The scene's set. It's now down to the parties to try and win over voters, with the battle at the ballot box. Laura Alderman, STV News, Edinburgh.
To other stories, and a murder inquiry is underway following the death of a teenager in Glasgow. 16-year-old Corey McCrimmon was seriously injured at Greenfield Park in Cranhill on Friday. He then died at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital yesterday. A 13-year-old boy appeared at Glasgow Sheriff Court today in connection with the death.
A woman who stabbed a care worker to death is to be detained without limit of time for treatment in a secure hospital in Wales after a failure to find her a suitable place in Scotland. Kellyanne McNaughton admitted killing Michelle Rutherford at supported accommodation in Stirling last year. The judge said the much-loved mother's death had a devastating long-term impact on her family.
A teenager has been arrested after a woman was allegedly seriously sexually assaulted near the Hydro in Glasgow. Officers cordoned off a stretch of the walkway beside the Clyde after being called out on Friday evening. A 16-year-old male has been arrested in connection and released pending further inquiries.
A cyclist is in a critical condition in hospital after being hit by a car on a motorway. The 26-year-old man was cycling on the M9 near Falkirk around 5 o'clock last night when the incident happened. A second cyclist, a 29-year-old man, was taken to hospital for assessment.
5 teenagers are in hospital with serious injuries after the car they were in hit a tree. The incident happened on Crookshields Highway in East Kilbride last night. The 18-year-old male driver and 4 passengers, including a 15-year-old boy, were taken to hospital. Now, the final design has been drawn up and work to give George Square its latest facelift is set to begin in January next year. The project will include a water feature, a raised lawn, sheltered seating and feature lighting. Caitlin Hutchison reports.
It's been redeveloped over the centuries as Glasgow's principal civic space. The latest vision, a greener square with more seats and cafes, fewer cars and play areas for children and families. But some argue George Square's latest revamp is long overdue.
Do you think that George Square as it is needs a facelift, needs this?
Yes. Oh, it definitely does.
It's a mess, look at the state of the ground. It's full of potholes and everything.
What do you make of these plans? Do you think that's going to make a big difference?
Well, it does look the same, except for the water fountain. One thing that did catch my eye was all the pigeons.
Why can you not put wee spikes on the top of them so that they're no like an absolute disgusting disaster?
These are the plans that the council have just confirmed.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it needs that much time.
Also kind of feel like there's maybe other things the council could be doing.
The water feature will be great for the kids. I'll have to bring my shampoo down.
Yeah, they've been doing a little bit of pavement for the last year. This will never be done.
But things are starting to move in the right direction. Last month, a notice for statue experts to restore the landmarks was issued.
There are currently 13 listed monuments in the square, and a condition report in 2014 found 9 were in a poor state of repair. Well, this project will remove and restore 11 of them, and the council says it's gone to the experts to take on this very niche, very specialised and painstaking work.
As part of these plans, we are currently engaging with potential contractors to have them conserved, restored, and then they will return back to the square, potentially in a slightly different position as part of the redevelopment works. We've looked at other European cities and how they have their public squares and what people get out of them, and I think it really will create a very different vibe, a very different atmosphere for George Square.
It actually look really nice.
It does look cool.
Construction is expected to begin in January and complete by August 2026. Work on the surrounding streets won't finish up before April 2027, and the final cost of the project is yet to be determined. Caitlin Hutchison, STV News, Glasgow.
Now, Oscar Cortez has expressed his delight after signing a 1-year loan deal from Lens, with the Ibrox club having an obligation to buy the winger next summer. Cortez joined Philippe Clement's side on loan in January, but his season was cut short the following month after sustaining a serious injury which required surgery. He will sign a 4-year deal next year. Glasgow Warriors coach Nigel Carolan has urged the players to seize the moment when they face South African side Stormers in the quarter-finals of the United Rugby Championship at Scotstoun on Saturday. The Warriors defeated Zebra 38-26 in the final match of the regular season to finish in 4th in the table, 3 points behind leaders Munster. Kyle Steyn and George Turner returned to the squad for this weekend's match.
Let's go after it, you know, and do it our way. You can't, just because it's knockout rugby, go into your shells and think, oh, you know, we can't play, there's too much pressure. You know, we're at our best when we play rugby and we move the ball around and we're ambitious and, you know, when we're creative, we allow players to make some good decisions and just relax and be ourselves. And I think that's the important message, is not to go off script.
Folks, is all your sport tonight. See you again tomorrow.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
Well, it was a fair bit windy earlier, but the sun was out. Let's get the forecast now from Sean.
A dry start to the day will become increasingly splashy. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
A very good evening to you. Well, it was a bit of a cracker at the weekend, especially on Friday and Saturday. A lovely sunshine and warm weather around. If you were hoping to get the deck chair back out this week, forget it. Glasgow, 13 degrees Celsius, cool air coming in from the Arctic this week. Overnight temperatures in some spots very low, especially during tomorrow night. Straven, for example, could be close to a frost tomorrow night. We could get temperatures maybe down to about 3-4 degrees Celsius in some spots, and certainly a wee touch of frost I expect in the next couple of nights in parts of the Highlands and a few of our glens, northern parts of Stirlingshire and also around Perthshire. Now tonight, lots of lovely sunshine to end the day, lots of clear skies around tonight, and it will be quite cool in some spots, not as cold as it's going to be tomorrow night. Temperatures for most of us 10-11 degrees Celsius, but in the countryside could be down to about 7 degrees. Now tomorrow morning, not so great to start the day. We've got cloud, we've got rain, a very wet start to the day. We'll see some heavy bursts for a time. Then that weather front should clear away eastwards, so probably about lunchtime onwards we'll see some good spells of sunshine developing. But look at the numbers in the wind arrows after having light winds in the last week or so. Quite a blustery day to come tomorrow, and there will be lots of showers, especially across northwestern parts, drier and sunnier in the afternoon across southern eastern areas. But look at those afternoon temperatures, 12 degrees Celsius. You can forget your 20s this week. Staying cool through the week, and I say some other chilly nights. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Don't forget STV at 9 o'clock, the Scottish Leaders Debate, hosted by Colin and Rona. Will have analysis afterwards with a special panel.
Indeed. Popcorn at the ready, should be great. And we're back again tomorrow at 6. Join us then.
Good night.
Good night.